Throughout human history, various cultures have engaged in the practice of removing body parts from their enemies, both deceased and occasionally alive. One of the most well-documented examples of such acts is scalping, the removal of all or part of the scalp, often with hair attached, from an enemy's head. Scalps were sometimes taken as trophies to demonstrate bravery, as symbols of revenge, or as elements of spiritual and ceremonial practices. Archaeological evidence shows that scalping has been practiced for over 5,000 years, with early instances recorded in Europe and Asia. However, this analysis will focus on the history of scalping in North America, where it held significant cultural and symbolic meaning. The earliest known evidence of scalping dates back to the Mesolithic period, with discoveries at a hunter-gatherer cemetery in Sweden. Stone Age remains from the Öteborg culture in Denmark also exhibit signs of scalping, with one notable case being a man buried in Sweden approximately 5,000 years ago. Concurrent evidence from China around the same period suggests that scalping was practiced globally for millennia. The Greek historian Herodotus recorded that Scythian warriors, nomadic tribes from the region near the Black Sea, were required to present enemy scalps to their king to claim their share of war spoils. Similarly, archaeological findings indicate that Anglo-Saxon and Frankish warriors practiced scalping during the 9th century. In North America, scalping predates European colonization and was practiced by many indigenous nations. Archaeologists examining skeletal remains near the Illinois River discovered evidence of scalping in the Mississippian culture, dating from 800 to 1500 CE. A significant archaeological site at Crow Creek, believed to have witnessed a battle between Siouan and Caddoan peoples around 1300 to 1400 CE, revealed the remains of at least 486 individuals, many of whom had been scalped. The practice of scalping in indigenous cultures often had deep spiritual significance. Among many tribes, hair was considered a source of personal spiritual power, and even a vessel for the soul. Consequently, taking an enemy's scalp symbolized the capture of their spiritual essence and the transfer of their power to the victor. Scalps were displayed as symbols of status and valor, with young warriors eager to claim their first scalp in combat to prove their courage and prowess. More experienced warriors amassed numerous scalps to demonstrate their continued success and dedication to their people. Scalps were prominently displayed on clothing, horses, or within lodges and villages, serving as visible reminders of victories in battle. In some tribes, the treatment of scalping survivors varied. Survivors were either revered as individuals touched by the spirits, or ostracized as ghosts, unable to reintegrate into the community. Historical accounts describe how scalps were sometimes offered as sacrifices to supernatural beings, particularly in the eastern woodland. Certain tribes, like the Mohawk, adopted hairstyles such as the roach, which left a strip of hair that could be easily grasped during combat, a deliberate taunt to their enemies. One of the most detailed personal accounts of surviving scalping comes from Josiah Wilbarger, who was attacked by Comanche warriors near present-day Austin, Texas. Shot with arrows and scalped, Wilbarger survived and later recounted the experience, describing the sensation as strangely painless, and likening the sound of his scalp being removed to distant thunder. Such first-hand testimonies offer a grim yet vivid perspective on the brutal reality of this practice. As European settlers expanded into North America, they encountered and documented the practice of scalping among indigenous peoples. The earliest recorded European observation came from French explorers in 1535, with subsequent detailed accounts provided by French artist Jacques Lemoyne, who witnessed scalping ceremonies in Florida. The arrival of European colonizers intensified intertribal conflicts, often exacerbated by colonial policies that commercialized scalping. Europeans began offering bounties for scalps, initially compensating native allies with goods and later with money. These bounties were extended during numerous conflicts, including King William's War, 1688, 1797, and Queen Anne's War, 1702. 1730. Massachusetts played a prominent role in formalizing scalp bounties, issuing over 60 proclamations between the 1680s and 1750s. One of the most notorious was the Spencer-Phipps Proclamation of 1755, which offered monetary rewards equivalent to $112,000 in today's currency for a male scalp, with lesser amounts for women and children. These policies incentivized the killing of indigenous people and contributed to the displacement of native tribes from their ancestral lands. Scalping persisted as a tactic during the American Revolution, with both patriots and loyalists employing the practice to intimidate and demoralize their enemies. Each side accused the other of barbarism, framing scalping as evidence of the opponent's savagery. The practice continued into the 19th century, particularly during the Apache-Mexican Wars, when both sides engaged in scalping, with Mexican states offering bounties for Apache scalps. Several infamous massacres during this period involved widespread scalping. In 1851, the Mariposa Battalion and local settlers in California conducted the Bloody Island Massacre, resulting in the scalping of hundreds of indigenous people. Similarly, during the Sand Creek Massacre of 1864, U.S. Army volunteers attacked a Cheyenne and Arapaho village in southeastern Colorado, killing and mutilating over 150 Native Americans, including women and children. Despite its brutal nature, there are well-documented stories of scalping survivors. One such case involves Robert McGee, who survived being scalped by Sioux warriors in 1864. Orphaned and working as a teamster, McGee was attacked near Walnut Creek, Kansas. Although severely wounded and left for dead, he was rescued and made a remarkable recovery. His story stands as a testament to the resilience of those who endured this harrowing ordeal. By the late 19th century, scalping had largely diminished as intertribal conflicts waned and U.S. military campaigns subdued indigenous resistance. Today, scalping remains a stark reminder of the violence that characterized much of early North American history. It highlights the complex interplay of warfare, cultural identity, and survival that shaped the continent's past. The practice serves as a historical lens through which we can better understand the harsh realities faced by indigenous peoples and the profound cultural significance they placed on acts of bravery and retribution. Furthermore, as conflicts subsided, narratives around scalping began to shift. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, sensationalized depictions of scalping became prominent in popular media, including novels, plays, and early film. These portrayals often reinforced stereotypes about Native Americans as savages, ignoring the broader historical context of colonial violence and exploitation. This framing contributed to a lasting cultural bias against indigenous peoples, portraying them as aggressors while downplaying the role of European settlers in perpetuating conflict. In more recent years, historians and anthropologists have worked to provide a more balanced understanding of scalping, recognizing it as a complex practice with diverse motivations, ranging from warfare to spiritual rituals. Modern archaeological techniques, such as advanced forensic analysis, have allowed researchers to gain deeper insights into the circumstances surrounding scalping incidents. For example, detailed examinations of skeletal remains from the Crow Creek site have revealed patterns of trauma consistent with large-scale battles, offering evidence of pre-contact warfare among indigenous groups. Scalping also had a psychological dimension, serving as a form of psychological warfare. The visible display of scalps not only demoralized enemies, but also reinforced social cohesion within the victorious group. By commemorating successful warriors and their deeds, the practice helped maintain a warrior culture that valued bravery, loyalty, and combat prowess. Today, discussions around scalping are part of broader conversations about historical trauma and indigenous resilience. Many indigenous communities continue to confront the legacies of violence and cultural erasure resulting from colonization. Efforts to preserve and share indigenous histories, including those related to warfare and conflict, are essential for fostering a more inclusive and accurate understanding of the past. In conclusion, the history of scalping is multifaceted, reflecting a wide range of cultural, spiritual, and military practices across different societies. While often associated with Native American tribes, the practice was by no means unique to them and has been documented in various cultures worldwide. Understanding the context and significance of scalping helps illuminate the broader dynamics of human conflict and cultural interaction, reminding us of the complex forces that have shaped our shared history.